Hey guys, Gary from Unfrequented World, and I'm just taking Gage for a walk out here in the beautiful wet swampland. Those of you that watch my channel know a lot of my videos are out here in nature. I live in Northern Ontario. I grew up here, raised on the farm, hunt, fish, camp. Spent a life working both in industry and environment. The last part is very important, okay? I want to talk about that today. Something I don't normally talk about. But I'm going to because we're going to start a new series on the channel. I've been thinking a lot lately about what is my role as a YouTuber. And I run a hobby channel, and that's awesome. We cover all kinds of awesome hobbies: metal detecting, photography, exploring, both urban and history. But I want to add something to the channel because I am an expert. I am an environmental expert. I have been to school. I have a BSc in science. And I have a post-environmental degree as well. And I've spent years, this is the important part, not just the schooling, working in environment. I have worked underground. I have worked in a paper mill. I did a government contract for one of the biggest paper mills in Northern Ontario as an environmental coordinator. I did a one-year contract. I spent years working as an independent consultant with a firm here in Northern Ontario, which did a lot of rehabilitation and deconstruction zones, things like that, where we take, say, gas stations and old things like that and rehabilitate the land back to pre-industry standards. So I have a wealth of knowledge and experience in that field. I am an expert. It's not something that I say to brag. It's something that I say because I feel I can offer something more to my YouTube channel. Now, another position that I held part-time while I was in school, and this one's important, okay, for where we're going to go with this new series, is I worked with the federal government. They had a program here in Canada where we could retrofit homes and you could modernize, things in your house and get grants for it, okay? So I was one of the guys that would go to your house, do an assessment, volume metrics, measurements of area, and we would do furnace calculations, window calculations, insulation calculations, anything that could improve the green footprint of your home, changing your light bulbs. Okay, and we had forms and forms and forms that we would fill out. So I'm very familiar with that side of things as well. What I want to talk about is something that I would talk to my students about. When I started working at the college, I taught both biology and ecology. And what I decided the best use of time for them to get the most out of a project were environmental documentaries. I'm a huge proponent in these documentaries. Guys can spend anywhere from 1 year to 4 years making a documentary, behind the scenes, undercover, research, and they're going to present this material to you in 2 hours. You're going to learn more in that 2 hours about whatever industry this documentary is covering, whether it's plastics, whether it's fuel, whether it's the food industry, than I could teach you in a year and a half of course study, right? Now, these are just the beginning points for my students. They watch the documentary, learn about it, and then you're given a project to go off on your own. I tell all the students, watch these documentaries with a philosophical view. Don't take everything that you're seeing as 100% the truth. There are always two sides to a story. You're getting the story from the person telling the documentary. Doing the coverage doesn't necessarily mean it's true. Most of the time it is, right? Let's be serious. That's why these documentaries are a success, because they're pointing out hidden things that industry and governments don't want us to know. You still need to watch with a philosophical view and make an educated decision on what is important, what is true, and what can you do about it moving forward. Do you give up using straws, plastic straws? Do you give up using a fuel car? Do you go to an electric car? Do you change the light bulbs in your house to the new LED style light bulbs? We make educated decisions. And I think that's what I'm lacking on my channel here. I'm not teaching up at the college this year. And I know that I only had 30 students a semester, but I hope that those 30 students learned something from what I presented to them, shared with them. All I did was show them information that's out there and available. And you would be surprised how many of these 18-year-olds to 24-year-olds had no clue that some of these documentaries existed. I had 2 students in my class, both 17 years old, that did not know what the film An Inconvenient Truth was or who Al Gore was. So we can laugh about that and say, you know, these kids should know who the vice president or former vice president of the States was, and that he won a Nobel Peace Prize for his work on that documentary. Last year when I was teaching the students and had given them An Inconvenient Truth as one of 20 documentaries that we covered, they actually came out with An Inconvenient Truth 2. So perfect timing. We could actually see 10 new years of data in the second video and go back and compare it to the first video. So amazing stuff. Where I'm going with this is I want to start presenting information like that to you guys. There's no reason why I can't start a series on my channel that can cover sharing of environmental truths and information with you guys. We can cover good news stories. We can cover Gary, who is going to start going out and doing more volunteer stuff, okay? Just at a local level. Where did all this come from? This came from me sitting on the couch this morning, starting a new documentary on Netflix, Seaspiracies. And what I want you guys to take from this video today, as this is the first video in the new series, go watch Seaspiracies, okay? I want you to watch it with an open, philosophical view. Don't take everything you see on there as granted the truth. Look at it with an educated eye. Do some research on your own. But watch it. Learn something. It's a little scary, as all of these documentaries are. But these are things that, as a human race, we need to face. So, the importance of this new series is twofold. It's going to allow me to share my expertise with you guys. It's going to allow me to share information that is out there that I know what it is you may not have heard of. And it's also going to give Gary a sense of, I'm doing something. Because you know what I learned today? That even though I have all of these years of environmental work experience, teaching experience, schooling experience, I still feel small and insignificant sitting on the couch watching Seaspiracies. And it's motivated me to get off my butt and start doing a little bit more. Even if that's just sharing with you guys. Like I say, everything I do on this channel is in the glory of beautiful Northern Ontario. Videos I made this week were miles and miles out in Northern Ontario hardwood. Stan and I out exploring the forests. Nobody around for miles. And I take it for granted maybe because I grew up here. I'm not a city guy. I'm very in touch with nature. And I know many of you are as well. And many of you guys are educated and doing things already on your own. And what I want to do is just enlighten people. I'm not going to browbeat you and tell you no more plastic straws, because you know what, I'll be honest and I'll tell you right now, I don't think plastic straws are the complete problem that they've been made out to be. And sitting there watching Seaspiracy today, you'll notice that that's one of the points that he makes. It's a small drop in the bucket. Okay, it's going to take governments and industry to change the real problems facing this earth. But that doesn't mean that as an individual, we have to sit here and feel like we can't help, that we can't be part of the solution. Every small thing we do, I drive a plug-in hybrid. You know, that's my contribution. Helps the planet. Everything we do. I installed a solar panel that I charge my phones and my cameras off of. As part of this series, I want to give you guys some simple ideas of what you can do to help the environment. And today I'm just going to show you my solar system, which runs into my garage, show you some of the batteries I charge, and what it costs me. It's very simple. So out there I have a 80-watt solar panel on a tree, guys, facing south. Comes in here into my garage through the window. I have it hooked into a controller. This cost me 15 bucks. The solar panel cost me about 80, I think, and I bought that maybe 10 years ago, so they're much cheaper now. And I use it to charge everything from camping and boat batteries. These are deep cycle batteries, can be discharged down to 30% and charged back up anytime. And then I use these big batteries to power through an inverter, something like this. You know, a multi-plug system where I can plug in cameras, phones, and we just charge USB devices, metal detectors. Everything gets charged through this very simple system. Very easy to hook up. And you will feel so good. For me, when I say my metal detecting is 100% solar power, green powered, I feel good. My photography is probably about 85%. There are times when my system goes down, you get mice and things that'll chew through your cables, but really it's just one cable hooked out to a solar panel. You can get much more involved and, you know, hook up panels in series and all that, but just hook up one little simple panel, guys. You can do it in the city, you can do it in the country. As long as you have access to sunlight, you can hook up a solar panel and you'll feel great. Every time you charge that iPad or that phone, the single device that you're doing, and you tell everybody, hey, I'm 100% green energy on my phone or my camera or my metal detector, you're going to feel great. And that's my tip for you guys today in this video. Every little bit helps. But for today, I want you guys to watch Seaspiracy on Netflix, and then let's talk about it. Let's talk about it down below. What do you think? Is this the truth? Is this blown out of proportion? It doesn't have to be all negative. It can be positive, right? Maybe some of you can just leave a comment that I didn't know this was occurring. Now I'm not going to eat dolphin-safe tuna because it's really not dolphin-safe, right? This is another point they make in this video. Greed. We're going to see that this is an evolving, revolving door, okay? Follow the money. That's what it's all about. It's about greed. It's not about feeding the Japanese people or China, you know? They say that, you know, a lot of this stuff comes from, you know, the shark fin soup, okay? It's not about food because there is no nutritional value in that. It's about greed. It's about money. The bluefin tuna, right? $3 million for a fish. Watch the documentary, guys. Mind-blowing stuff. Hundreds and hundreds of little points in there. Maybe watch it twice because, as I tell my students, you'll miss a lot of things the first time around. And this is just one of many documentaries I can point you guys in the direction of. Some of them more disturbing than others, but all very informative. And I just feel that I need to do more on this channel. As an expert in my field, I need to do more. I consider myself semi-retired. You guys know I work for my wife. I work 20 hours a week running a health clinic. My wife's a doctor. I don't do environmental stuff anymore. I don't do consulting. We could talk about the dark side, even here in Northern Ontario, working for some of these places. You know, bribery, the system of quiet, the system of don't, you know, speak out. It exists here. It exists everywhere. But I don't want to be super negative about it. I'm going to be honest about it and say that it exists. I don't work for anybody right now. I could even name companies, but I'm not going to. Gary can't afford to be sued, but it exists everywhere, right? The first environmental job I did for a consulting firm here, I showed up and it was an old farmer that had dug tanks out of the ground, fuel tanks from the 50s. And it was a very easy, quick job. Go out, sign the paperwork, get those tanks in a truck, get them to where they need to go to be cleaned. And when I showed up, the old farmer had dumped the tanks. The whole point was to take the water that was in these tanks and was contaminated with leftover fuel bits and whatever, oil. He dumped them saying, I did you a favor, now they're going to be nice and light and easy to lift up on the truck. He wasn't trying to be environmentally bad, but that opens a whole can of worms that if Gary follows this protocol, which 100% I'm ready to follow and do. That's my job. We need to come in and have all this soil removed now where he dumped these tanks. Guess what? I was told, get those tanks on the truck, get them out of there, sign the paperwork. You didn't see any of that. And that's the truth of the world. And that broke my heart. And that's why Gary doesn't do environmental anymore. But I'm still going to try to do my part, guys. I want to spread the word, the knowledge that we all need to be in touch with our planet. We need to know what's going on. It's like watching the news. It's painful to do. It's very biased. But we need to do it to know what's going on. And that's the new series that we're going to cover. I hope you guys are on board. I don't want it to be a dark, disturbing, negative, stressful thing. We're going to have lots of positive news. We're going to have lots of good stuff, stories. Gary's going to start volunteering. We're going to cover it all. And it's a new series. We're doing it.